everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Lollygaggers Dynasty Recap. I am your host, Zang. I am not currently watching the Red Sox game on my phone. I don't know why people keep saying that. We are back for the recap of the final week of the year as we get ready for playoffs, and I am joined, as always, by the wonderful Ace. Ace, aside from your matchup results, how are you, my friend?
Doing pretty good. Very unfortunate that I was not able to, I came away with the win, but, we'll get into it. A lot went into it this week, but it was exciting as every week this season was, and there's a lot to dive into.
It really has been. I was marveling all week at the fact that, without planning it at all, every single matchup this week had implications to either who gets bye weeks or who makes the playoffs. Like, that's just fantastic that happened. I realized it in the middle of the pod last week, and then, it just made this week so much fun to follow through, and it was exciting. We had an exciting week. It was funny looking back. Quite a few actually wire-to-wire matchups, but a lot of them actually felt pretty close. And obviously with the stakes at play, that kind of made it even more exciting. So we can get started off with our first matchup of the week. That's Okie Sooner versus Big Peach. Okie came in 8th place out of the playoffs, looking to maybe play a little bit of spoiler this week against Peach, who was trying to hold his position in the playoffs. The last time they did match up, Peach did beat Okie, so he's looking to kind of repeat that this time around. And Peach got started off with a solid day, 78 points to 49 on Okie's side. Jose Soriano had 27 points for Peach there. Really solid to start off. On Tuesday, Okie Sooner had a nice day with his bats when Gabriel Moreno and Eugenio Suarez had 12 and 11 points each, respectively. However, Peach did hold that lead there. They tied with 40 points on Wednesday, 12 again from Eugenio over on Okie's side, and 12 from Jordan in a pretty big return for Big Peach, and they just at the right time for that bat. On Thursday, we saw Peach hold the lead again thanks to, 37 points from Kyle Schwarber. That was, of course, his 4 home run game. That was pretty solid and, contributed to more than half of his points on that day. So very solid there. We saw Jonah Tong's Schwar bombs were raining in Philly. Jonah Tong made his debut for Big Peach on Friday, and of course for the Mets as well. 21 points for him there, with Zebby Matthews racking up 23. Over on the other side, 30 points for Christian Javier. Wasn't quite enough, though, to give Okie Sooner that lead, as Big Peach did rack up a total of 110 there. We got 100 from Sooner on Saturday, 26 from Priester, 32 from Trevor Rogers. Unfortunately, though, minus 10 from Brian Abreu and 28 from Arrighetti over on the other side would make it hard for him to take the lead. And we did see Big Peach close it out with a pair of batters on Sunday. Corbin Carroll with 11, Drake Baldwin with 10, as we saw him squeeze out a relatively close 19-point victory, 437 to 418. Big Peach did end the season 2 games above 500 at 12 and 10, while Okie ended down in sort of the lower middle of the pack at 9 and 13.
Yeah, so definitely this matchup was the heartbreak for me. It's insane. We're gonna get into just how insane this matchup was a little bit later with the bench blunders because there was a potential big one there that really could have changed the tides of this game. But Big Peach comes out on top, squeaks out a victory, and books his ticket to the playoffs. So this was obviously one of the marquee matchups of the week, simply for that reason. With a loss, now that we know the outcomes of the other games, with a loss, Big Peach would have been eliminated. So he does what he needs to do. It was a precipitous fall for him. We really were kind of looking like, damn, is he going to, after all this time, lose out on a playoff spot? But he doesn't. He sticks around, and Schwarber, man, picked a hell of a time to have his 4 home run game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you break it down, 19, so, even if Schwarber has a regular Schwarber day, which is like 2 home runs and a walk, I think Okie Sooner might win this matchup. Like, that is how significant that 4 home run game was. 37 points, obviously more than enough to cover. So even if Schwarber just had a good day at the office, then we might be looking at an Okie Sooner win. But, of course, he got third one this year with 4 home runs. obviously don't know the last time that happened. If you have that data, we'd love to hear it. But
yeah, I know the last time 2 happened was in 2017. I remember that trivia you gave me.
That's for sure.
The fact that we have 3, that's absolutely insane. I mean, yeah, just like you mentioned. I mean, this is a little bit of spoilers, but obviously Schwarber was Peach's best bat of the week. Guy put up 42 points all week, and 37 of them came in one day. Like, that is just absolutely fucking insane to think about.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. Like, you think of that. Wow, he actually overall, like, had kind of a shitty week.
Yeah,
you
like
see a batter
100%.
with 5 points, you're like, oh, bad week for Schwarber. But when you get 37 more on 1 point, you still end up as
yeah. You're like, oh, he averaged 6 points a day. Like that's pretty solid. Like no, he didn't. But yeah, no, but he did.
You got 5 points in 6 days of the week and 37 in the other one. So that's the way it falls sometimes. As of course, Ace did mention there, Schwarber with 42 was Peach's best batter. Jose Soriano with 27 was his best pitcher. Soriano actually had a very good week, second start, but I believe Peach ran out of starts by the time it came around for Soriano's second one there, so fortunately wasn't able to rack up those other points. Over on Okie Sooners' side, Jazz had 40 points, and Trevor Rogers had 32 for him. Rogers, who's been phenomenal down the stretch. I know could be a pretty solid piece for Okie Sooner, next year. He came back middle of the year and had a little bit of a tough time kind of making his way back in to start, but for the last few weeks, he's been showing up on Sooners lists quite a bit. So he's definitely one to keep an eye out for next year as, Okie looks to kind of start things over fresh in the 2026 season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just, I guess I can root for you now, Peach, going into the playoffs, seeing as you are the underdog, but damn, what a matchup, though. This is truly, like, why this league was so amazing, even in just its first year. It felt like every single week there was just tight, close matchups that had significant effects on seedings or, like, playoff implications, especially down the line. So, like, yeah, I'm very excited for what the rest of this league, for as long as we're able to run it, and hopefully we are able to run it, as long as the baseball gods will allow us.
Yeah. After 1 year looks like this, then you get, like, you think about all the history with other teams and stuff like that. There is a lot to look forward to, especially after a season like this. So we will move on to our second matchup, which was Zang versus JMC. JMC did, of course, take our first matchup. And he was looking to lock up one of those bye week spots. I was looking to try and lock up my 9th win of the season. It's definitely been a tale of two halves for my team here, and I was hoping to finish strong on a solid note there and maybe mix things up a little bit. It was a strong start for JMC though. 32 points from Cam Schlittler on Monday when he racked up 84 points. On Tuesday we saw Sandy Alcantara continue his really strong run here of 4 or 5 starts with 29 points there. Over on the other side, William Contreras had 14 and Stanton at 16 as JMC held the lead. On Wednesday, got another little peek at my future with Bubba Chandler racking up another 20. I am loving the Bubba Chandler experience. Would have loved it in May or June, but we're taking it as we have it now. But over on the other side, it was a trio of 10-point scorers for JMC as Langford, Harris, and Judge all racked up that low double-digit number, and then Ben Rice with 11 points there. Crochet with a surprisingly low for him, 23 points there. It's sort of a ticket as to Crochet. Oh my God, only 23 points from him, and that's like a shit start for him. Quiet day for JMC on Thursday as I took the daily matchup 49-29, but of course he did continue to hold that the lead through Friday as well. Volpe with 12, Rodon with 25, Leiter with 27. Surprisingly though, minus 17 from Yuri Perez. Quite a big negative for him, who's been unbelievably reliable for JMC. Over on my side, Zach Gallen had 34, and a nice start from Peyton Tolley, who was a Red Sox prospect who came up we were pretty excited about, and he certainly showed out in that first start. On Saturday, nothing too impressive on my side, but 116 points scored from JMC is nothing to sneeze at, as Schlittler got another 28, and Gavin Williams with 35. His Guardian starters always seem to just I don't know, pop out with crazy performances. And you're like, who is this create a player, Gavin Williams? Like,
Use your random generated.
Yeah, first name, last name. Like, then on Sunday, although I did match JMC's total from the last day, 116 points. Apart from Bryce Miller and Sandy Alcantara, it wouldn't quite be enough as Holiday and Contreras put up another 10 for him. Judge with 13, and then of course Justin Verlander in that 120-something pitch 5-inning outing for him. He did rack up 27 solid points for JMC, and that would be enough for him to take home the win by just 16 points. Another close matchup, 508 to 492. JMC ended the season at 15-7, while I ended at 8-14.
Yeah, this was, I'll say this. It was a lot closer than we expected it. That was for sure. I think there was some Discord talk about, if Zang could dethrone JMC for the number 1 seed, there would be some champagne bottles flowing. But alas, it was not meant to be. JMC finishing out the season on the highest win streak. I found that out. Riding into the playoffs as the hottest team, a 6-game winning streak coming into this playoff stretch. 6 games in a row is absolutely insane. He will have a bye week this week, of course. Spoiler alert. He wasn't able to be dethroned, so he will have a bye going into this playoff race. And I think that, typically in real sports, buys can really shift or dictate depending on rest and things like that, or momentum for some other teams. Really has no implications here. You want bye weeks because it could be the week where your team performs absolutely terribly.
Yep.
So bye weeks are absolutely highly sought after for good reason. And JMC, he is looking very, very dangerous going into these playoffs.
Absolutely. This is not fantasy related, but in regards to bye weeks, I've always thought of them since they introduced me to MLB. I'm like, the bye week's bad. It feels like it's always screw those teams over. I found out half of the World Series champions since they started doing the bye weeks have had a bye, and half of them have not. Fun fact. I didn't know that. Wow. I've always thought of it as like a largely negative thing, but it actually turns out it hasn't been that bad. Back to fantasy, though. Yeah, obviously a great win for JMC here. It was, again, surprisingly close, despite the fact that, he went wire to wire there. 16 points kind of separated the two of us there. I had 3 starters going on that last day. I was hoping for a little bit more from Brandon Woodruff. He ended up actually having a pretty crappy start against the Blue Jays there, so just wasn't quite enough to end it out there. And in the end, maybe this was a little bit of payback for that week 3 stat readjustment that kind of turned JMC's the beginning of his season on its head. So he finally got his payback here, and things feel like they ended up where they should be. We look at these teams. He is clearly one of the best teams in this league, and definitely earned that bye week through his, he made some great trades. He obviously drafted very well, and it's, as I think my pick for the runner-up in the league, it is, I'm feeling nice about seeing him there. It's some really impressive batter and pitcher performances during this series. Lindor with 32 was my best batter. He was by far the lowest performer in the series, though, because Sandy Alcantara with 63 was one of our potent pitchers. Really nice to see Alcantara there. Over on JMC side, finally making his return to the Best Bats segment, we have Aaron Judge with 47 points. Not too surprising to see him back on that list. And then Cam Schlittler with 61 was also one of our pitchers. Let me know, Yankees fans, if I'm saying his name right. I can't. It looks like Schittler to me.
Schlitter is crazy.
But I'm sure it's not Schittler. It's like, or Schlittler. I don't know. Tell me how to say it.
1,000% be what he's called whenever he has a bad game.
Yeah, if he gives up 4 home runs, here comes Schittler again. Yeah.
I can hear it now. Boston fans are going to be echoing that name.
Yeah. Oh my God, Cam Schittler. What are you fucking kidding me? No, very impressive week for him here. 61 points and yeah, so solid. And of course, nice for JMC there to get that on 2 Yankees. So he does 15-7 on the season. Very very impressive. And here we are. He's going into that bye week. We'll move on now to our third matchup of the week as we saw Ace Garcia go up against Serial Chiller. This one started off pretty surprising as Serial Chiller took an early lead, just 4 points on Monday, 52-48. Ace, of course, came into this matchup. I want to preview it a little bit, looking to sneak into the playoffs in that final week. Well, Serial Chiller looked to, end his season off maybe on a devious high note and play some spoiler for Ace. We did see, as I mentioned, an early lead from him despite 19 points from Andy Pajes over on Ace's side. Colton Cowser had 11 points and Burleson with 17 on Serial Chiller's side. Serial held the lead through Tuesday, 21 points from Shane Boz and 37 from Parker Messick. Another one of those, although his name's a little more unique, another one of those sort of Guardians creative player type guys. On Wednesday, he held the lead again. It was a quiet day on both sides, 42-16. On Thursday, Serial Chiller held the lead. It looked like disaster for Ace. At this point, it looked like maybe with a win, he would be able to sneak in, but he was falling behind. And that's when Friday came around. 127-25. On that Friday, we did see 12 points from Grisham, 16 from Hap, and 36 from Freddie Peralta. That trade is paying dividends for Ace already. And of course, that 127 points, that was a 102-point lead over Serial Chiller on that day, and that was enough to take the lead. And Ace did continue again through Saturday and Sunday when we saw 116 points. Nice 21 from Waldrip and 36 from Yamamoto there on Sunday. A really upsetting Sunday, unfortunately, for Serial Chillers. Maybe this is a little mean, but ending the season on sort of the note it's been on, a -7 overall day for him there. It has been a tough season for Serial Chillers. He has a ton of draft capital. He's got some great prospects. We know he's going to get there, but yeah, -2 from Cowser, -3 from Abrams, -9 from Lord, and -11 from Sugano. That did feel somewhat fitting for, his season to end on that note. -7 to 116. And so we did see Ace take the win. As we know, it would not be quite enough for him to get that lead, not get that lead, but to sneak into the playoffs there. But a very solid win for him there. Ace ended the season at 12-10, tied with a couple other teams, and Serial Chillers down as our resident basement dweller at 5-17. The matchup was 476-325, 151 points separating the two of them. So for a point where Serial Chillers led through Thursday, that is a crazy differential for Ace there at the end. And here we are.
Yeah, I mean, just like you mentioned, it really just came down to that Friday night matchup. That was ultimately the big swing that kind of took me over the hump. Serial, like you mentioned, Serial, this is what's going to make him very dangerous. Like we talked about kind of earlier in the Discord, we didn't really talk about it on the show too much, but in the Discord we talked about how, in these last coming weeks, it's going to be very difficult for everybody to really maintain rosters, because a lot of minor league players are going to get promoted. And obviously we talked internally about like how we're going to combat that and things like that. But for somebody like Serial, who obviously in the first season, was the resident basement dweller, he was able to just hoard a lot of these young guys even on his starting roster, kind of knowing like, I'm not really in it at this point anymore. So, in doing that, if a lot of these guys really kind of turn it around and next season really pop off, Serial could be a prime candidate for like a quick turnaround, and quick as in like he could very well be like in the top 3 of teams next year if these guys sort of pan out and this, because he has a ton of young talent on his team.
So much, yeah. And like you said, he doesn't need to keep those Carlos Santanas or Brian Reynolds or, Colt Keiths on his roster, kind of guys that will like reliably get you some points, but obviously don't have a huge future there. Like, he can just say, nope, that's okay. I'll hold on to my young guys who, maybe are getting a taste of things in, September, and then next year are going to be regular starters and could be really solid regular starters. So yeah, definitely, Serial Chiller did a great job of kind of taking advantage, like you said, of that sort of being out of contention, and, being able to really, get some work done with those young guys. So yeah. And then, solid, obviously a very impressive performance on your side. It is, I'm sure, disappointing not to make the playoffs, but I'm noticing, two of your bigger trades, or pardon me, all in the, no, 2 trades. That's right. 3 really with JMC. JMC is so good with the callbacks when, we were talking about that big trade there, and I was like, oh, you never know, it could be the Willie Adames trade, just like kind of listing names off, and then they were like, yeah, haha, that's funny. And then Willie Adames has a 20-point day, and he's like, no, look, it's the Willie Adames trade. that got a full-on out-loud laugh from me when I got that, so thank you for that, JMC. But yeah, Adames and Yamamoto were in the trade, right? They were in a trade together.
Yes,
so obviously we saw big returns from them, and then Hurston Waldrop and Freddie Peralta were in that Zach Wheeler trade there. Yep. So, nice to see those returns showing up. And I say that not to be like, oh, well, still a pretty good week, but when you miss the playoffs by, just matchup differentials, and you kind of see this coming, I think it does bode well for next year, as, you only had those guys for, a month or so, and obviously you'll have them for more of the season next year. So a heartbreaking finish, super tough to not make the playoffs just by tiebreakers, but, in a tight league with just 12 guys there, that is the way it goes out sometimes, and yeah, so a valiant effort, but unfortunately not quite enough. Adames with 36 points, 20 of those, of course, coming on Thursday. He was your best batter for the week, and then Freddie Peralta and Yamamoto both tied with 36s as your best pitchers. Over on Serial Chiller's side, 31 points from Bryce Terang, who's been a phenomenally consistent and solid second base option over there. His best batter, and then Parker Messick with that 37 on that one start that I mentioned was his best pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, just like you mentioned, it was. It really comes down again to that week against Bose. That was the nail in the coffin for me. I lost that week. The score doesn't seem like too bad. I lost that week by about 45, 46 points, but it was just the implications of the playoffs in which everything that was on the line. I set myself up for this final week of. I wasn't in control of my own destiny. I needed other people to lose. So it was all kind of, this was 100% avoidable. I could have very easily, had I won that game against Bose, I would have probably been riding like a 4-game winning streak into the playoffs. And obviously I'd be in Peach's spot right now taking on Hideki. But yeah, I think it was just a great matchup overall. Serial held his own, but unfortunately just came up a little bit too short.
Short, absolutely. Well, we'll move on to matchup number 4, which was, I think if you don't say this was the most surprising matchup of the week, you weren't watching the week, because what the fuck? We had number 1 ranked Bose Bros and O's going up against Inten, who is in 11th place. Last time they faced off, Inten did beat Bose, and we were like, yeah, so, Bose will be, evening up this season series as he kind of rides it in, and then Inten said, watch this, and started off with 73. Yeah, hold my beer, exactly. 73 points on that first day from him, 11 from Kirk, and 30 from Ian Seymour. Tuesday was really the day when things started to break out, though, when we saw 158 points from Inten. Not a shabby 59 over on Bo's side with 26 from Kershaw, but of course over on Inten's side, Albies with 22, Mitch Keller with 28, and Giolito with 42 helped him, further extend that very impressive lead. We saw 100-point performances from both teams on Wednesday. Bo's put up 103 on Seager's 13, Buxton's 14, Shohei's 27, and Sonny Gray's 28. But again, in sort of a hold my beer moment, Inten said, let me put up 114 thanks to 11 from Perdomo, 12 from Horner, 15 from Albies, 23 from Ryan Bergert, and 41 from Nolan McLean, who's been absolutely incredible, not only for the Mets, but obviously for Inten. Held it again on Thursday with 52 on 23 from Imanaga. Friday was a little bit dicier of a day for Inten. Bose did score 57, Inten just 22. Part of that due to the minus 14 from Dean Kremer there. So a little bit of a positive negative for Bose. Of course, he had to watch his real life team lose, but then you got minus 14 on Inten's side. Down on Saturday, we saw Glasnow put up 23, and Sale in his return for Bose put up 30, but the ever-reliable David Peterson with a minus 17. Unfortunately, over for Bose. And then on Inten's side, we did see 10 from Yelich and 22 from Juan Soto. And finally, on that last day, 97 points for Bose, 106 for Inten as he would close out the matchup. Ian Seymour racking up another 25 and Giolito another 26. We did see a solid 37, more than solid, incredible 37 from Joe Ryan over on Bo's side, and solid 27 from Brady Singer. But it would not be enough as Inten would go wire to wire against the league leader Bose and knock him out of a bye week spot with a 151 point win, 586 to 435.
Yeah, this was absolutely insane to watch. I mean, the batters for Inten this week just absolutely going crazy for him. If you looked at like the points, total points scored, pitching staffs, Bose put up 291, Inten put up 330. Like, okay, 40-point difference. That's not horrible. You can combat that in your batters. But 259 points even for Inten to only 144.5 for Bose. I mean, you're never only putting up 144 points for your batters is not gonna do you any justice, but also 259 points is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, that's insane.
Wow.
We talk about devil magic with like the Cardinals and stuff. Inten's got some devil magic, I swear to God.
Yeah,
like
that's insane.
The run didn't end up going, all the way to the playoffs. But we obviously saw that crazy run where he went from like last place. I think he made it up to like 7th. And then, of course, doing this against one of our top-ranked teams is just crazy. And, of course, you see it a little bit in his best batters and pitchers. Ozzie Albies with 46 points was one of our best batters. Also with 46 points, Juan Soto, another one of the league's best batters. And then, of course, Lucas Giolito with a nice 69 points was, I believe, our most potent pitcher of
our
the week.
Potentest pitcher.
Our potentest pitcher of the week, if you will. So when you got 3 on the list, it's not surprising to see your score pushing 600 there.
2 batters over 45 points. I'm sick if I'm
That's
Bose.
crazy.
That's absolutely insane.
What are we doing? And like not poor performances with some of his other guys too. That's not even with, of course, league batting champion Geraldo Perdomo. Like, he had good performances on the other side too.
Dude, that's 90. What is that? 92 points from 2 guys.
From 2 guys.
I mean, come on, man.
Crazy work.
Insane.
Not too shabby over on the other side for Bose. 43 from Buxton. Always nice when you get a good Buxton week, and 39 from Joe Ryan. But of course, it would not. Yeah, twins showing it. Exactly, a couple of twins. Nice to see there. They need some win.
They need some loving.
Yeah, it's been a rough season over in Minnesota. It's been a rough century in Minnesota, for being fair. But
I think in all Minnesota sports, it's been pretty
rough. But we just in 10, I believe as the only person who really truly got to kind of have some fun and play spoiler this week of the teams who were out of it. But yeah, really big win for him there, and it does knock Bose out of that bye week playoff. So if we'll obviously get down to matchups later, but if he does end up losing his matchup, I think it's going to be a very interesting one to look back at. Not that there were serious like, oh geez, Bose messed up by not starting this guy, but it's definitely a game we projected him to win early on coming in, and having him not win this game and then go into the matchup having held that bye week spot is obviously something to keep an eye on. So we will move down now to number 5, which was Flaming Prius versus Al Martinet in 6th and 10th place respectively. Prius did beat him last time they matched up. And let's see, as I scroll on over, it does look like Flaming Prius started off nicely with 98 points on that first day. Scooble putting up 29, as he always does, and 24 from Junior Caminero. That's starting pitcher numbers from the Rays third baseman over there. Emmett Sheehan with 42 points over on Al Martinet's side, made up for more than half of his 80 points on that day. Then on Tuesday, we saw a 100-plus point performance from Flaming Prius with 108 as Neto and Green, Riley Green that is, both put up 11 points. Hunter Brown with 23, and old friend returning to the list, Martin Perez with 35 points for Flaming Prius. Jacob Wilson with 12 over on Al Martinet's side. But Al Martinet would bounce back with a strong Wednesday and Thursday, putting up 121 points and then 27 respectively, as he did take the lead those 2 days. Thursday had Braxton Ashcraft 21 points for Flaming Prius there, and 33 from Freed on Wednesday, but Zach Galoff had 13, Brian Bay with 29, and Luis Morales with 38, all on Al Martinet's side. Gave him that lead through Thursday, but Prius did take it back on Friday, thanks to 26 from Skeens, and he would not relinquish that lead through the end of the weekend. Saturday, he had 80 points. Sunday, he had 100 on 14 from Duran, apart from that inside the park home run. Another 21 from Hunter Brown, another 23 from Martin Perez there, and then that Tarek Skubal guy with 33 points.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he seems all right. Solid draft pick. Don't forget, all of us passed on him.
Yeah, you got to really.
Everyone in the league did.
You really had to remind us, huh?
Yeah. Sorry. That of course does end up giving Flaming Prius the win there. It was a 98-point differential between the two of them, 564 to 466.
Man, Martin Perez making an appearance. I remember when he started the year on my team.
I think he was
the number one pitcher, right?
Where we were doing it. It was on. He was like our first wasted waiver, and on the podcast you were like, breaking news, he's just been picked up. I think he had some injury and hasn't been back.
He had one good start, goes on the IL. He went on the 60-day IL, so I put him on the IL for a long time. Eventually, I had guys that were just performing better than him that eventually got hurt, so I'm like, well, I need to drop him to make room on the IL. What a fucking shock that he goes to Flaming Priuses of all teams. He needed a goddamn another starting pitcher to pop off for almost 60. God damn it, man.
That is a very, Rays-coded moment to have Martin Perez, who just throws slop from the left side, get picked up by Prius, and then put up
60.
Surprise! One of the best pitchers of the week. That is so Rays coded.
You want to talk about fucking devil magic? Flaming Prius is doing some witchcraft back there, man. This is insane.
So funny, yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. As I previewed, Martin Perez with 59 points was one of our potent pitchers for the week. He did have, 59, like I mentioned. And then Skubal with 62. Got him. Another one of our potent pitchers there. Zach Neto with 32 points was his best pitcher there. Over on Al Martinet's side, Jacob Wilson had 26 points, and Jesus Luzardo with 40, most of them coming in that Sunday 35-point start. So here we are. I didn't mention their records. Flaming Prius did end up with that group at 12-10. Al Martinet at 8-14 to end the season. There they are. And finally, we will move down to Mike versus Hideki. Now, this one probably had the, I don't know if we'd say least significant matchup implications in it, but both of these teams were in the playoffs no matter what. Of course, this was all about Mike potentially getting a bye week or not. And Hideki did start out strong with 85, 41 of those coming from Edward Cabrera. Really, really, really solid there. Over on Mike's side, just 63 points on that first day. Ramon Laureano put up 16 on Tuesday for Hideki, while Salvi, Ryan Nelson, and Framber with 35 there. Salvi had 14 and Ryan Nelson with 26 on Wednesday for Hideki. Helped him hold that lead again, despite Mike putting up 124 points. Belly with 11, Brian Wu with 21, and that Rafael Devers guy, he seems pretty good with 26 points. But from Thursday on, it would be all Mike. 50 points on Thursday, on 12 from Alonso and 15 from Cody Bellinger. And then I still think the biggest spread of a single day, 138-5, is bananas. 10 from both Alonso and Lowe on that Friday for Mike. Mark Vientos had 12. Zach Littell had 22. And George Kirby had 26. On On Saturday, he had a nice solid 68 points with Hideki racking up 98, in part on 34 from Gossman. But over on Mike's side, we did have Merrill Kelly putting up 20, the ever-present Christopher Sanchez with 31, and unfortunately minus 12 from Jeff Hoffman there. But it would not matter too much as Mike would close out the matchup, scoring 93 points on Sunday, 14 of them coming from Devers, and would take the victory from Hideki there. 15-7 is how Mike ended the season, with Hideki ending at 13-9. Both of them are, of course, in the playoffs, but Mike did lock up that top, bye week spot. So he is looking pretty going into next week and doesn't have to worry about any bench blunders or setting any lineups or anything.
Oh man, boo-hoo. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Mike absolutely deserves it. His team has easily been the most consistent all year, and with all the flurries of trades and moves that he's made, he does deserve this final top spot. I think we all I think with the way that the season kind of came into a close, not even with these last 4 weeks, but maybe in like the last 8 weeks or so, JMC and Mike really kind of separated themselves. We saw Hideki kind of have, a bit of a run there at that top spot, and then, the fall off kind of sort of came, not swiftly, but, consecutively. Mm-hmm. So I think this is, I'm so excited for these playoffs. Like, these games are going to be absolutely bonkers. I can't wait.
It's a good reminder that the playoffs are fun because obviously it determines who wins the championship, but they're also fun because it's the best teams going against each other. Like, we were making these previews, and I was like, oh man, all of these matchups are so exciting. There's just so much good talent, and we saw obviously some very nice performances here from Hideki and Mike, who did score pretty well for both of them. Just below 400 for Hideki, but 551 for Mike. 159 points separated the two of them, so it wasn't terribly close, but, nice performances on both sides. Laureano with 31 and Edward Cabrera with 40 were Hideki's best batter and pitcher. And then over on Mike's side, Rafael Devers with 50 points was one of the league's best batters. Also one of the league's best batters in Cody Bellinger with 46. And then his local guy, George Kirby, put up 25 points for him as his best pitcher there. So that is our final matchup minute of the regular season. The next time we are doing this, these will be, playoff matchups. So that is pretty exciting. One last time. Ace, why don't we start from the bottom here and tell us about the standings?
Absolutely. So, to the surprise of nobody, need a bit of a drum roll. It is Serial Chillers, our resident basement dweller, bringing up the rear at 5-17. Very impressive by 3 whole games, able to hold that final place spot. He has won the Murakami sweepstakes. It is all but inevitable that he will be using the first overall first round pick in this next year's draft on him. So kudos to you, Serial. You didn't win the league in the first year, but may have won something even better. We'll see what he turns into.
Let's see who he's got playing third base. Go ahead.
Gonna do a quick check here on Serial's team.
Curious. It's got to be J-Ram, right?
Is it J-Ram? I know you had. I don't think.
Yeah, it's J-Ram. Oh,
it is J-Ram.
Oh, that's what that infield spot's for.
Yeah, J-Ram and Murakami, man.
Yeah,
that's a pretty solid 1-2 punch.
Hell of a duo.
But congratulations, Serial, on that. Well deserved. And moving up just above him at 8-14, Zang and Al Martinet. Zang at that 11th spot. So kudos to you, sir, holding that number 2 pick. You get your first pick of the litter of all the prospects, true prospects, coming out in this year's draft. Al Martinet right behind you, like I mentioned, both of you guys 8-14. In 10 right there in the 9 spot. With the win, doesn't lose the 4th overall pick. Oki Sooner right there picking 5th at 9-13. Myself at 7, just out of the playoff line, having the same record as the final 2 teams in the playoffs, but due to me being 0-4, a combined 0-4 against both of those teams, I find myself looking on the outside looking in. Bringing up our first playoff team at I should mention I'm 12-10. By both of these 2 teams as well, 12-10. Prius at the 6th spot, Big Peach at the 5 spot. Big Peach taking on the 4th seed this coming week in Hideki at 13-9. And Flaming Prius taking on the 3rd seed at 14-8 in Bose. And then our 2 top dogs of the league, our 2 bye-week holders for our first inaugural Lollygaggers Dynasty, MLB Dynasty season. We have JMC and Mike Copeland taking the top spot for us. He is our number 1 seed. Like I mentioned, JMC right behind him. So they will have the bye weeks going into the playoffs that have already started. I was looking at the scores. The playoffs have officially already began. Getting this one out a little bit later to you guys, obviously with Labor Day weekend and a little bit of flight delays, kind of pushed back the release of this episode. But so yeah, definitely exciting times. The games are already underway, and man, like we already mentioned, I just can't emphasize how exciting it is.
Little round of applause for all of our playoff teams, and of course those who did not quite make the cut there. Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm just so happy we're doing this league finally.
Yeah,
and yeah, so there we have it. Mike and JMC with bye weeks. Bose, Hideki, Big Peach, and Flaming Prius facing off this week. Before we move on and do a little bit more of an in-depth deep dive on those matchups, let's cover the bench blunders, some of which, as we mentioned, were significant enough to not only have matchup but playoff implications. This was probably the craziest single week for batters I've ever seen. Normally when I make them, I kind of guess where is somebody going to be. And when George Springer put up 19 points on Tuesday for Hideki on the bench, I was like, okay, obviously that's the biggest bench blunder. Turns out it's the 3rd biggest, because on Friday we had Brandon Nimmo put up 22 on the bench, 4 in 10, but if you're counting at home, that is only 2 out of 3. We have one more, and of course, this is the one we were previewing a little bit earlier. Dansby Swanson, the man with hair we all dream of, put up 26 points on Okie Sooners bench. 26 points, of course, would have been enough for him to beat Big Peach, which would have knocked Peach out of the playoffs and would have put Ace into the playoffs. So Peach is counting his lucky stars and saying thank you for Dansby being on the bench there. And unfortunately, that's one that I think, of course, although it was totally out of his control, is going to haunt Ace a little bit, being the one thing that kept him out there.
Yeah, Dansby Swanson, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say about that. On to the next one.
26 points. I'm sorry.
Off, man.
I know. I can't.
It's in cores. I get it. They're in cores, but like. Damn it, Okie! You couldn't have played. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Totally joking.
Well, like I love it too because if it were like Eugenio again, we've talked about him so much being that guy that like he's gonna hurt you sometimes because he'll have the 4 home run day. And then the next day he'll strike out 4 times. Yeah,
exactly.
But Dansby to me is the guy who like will rack like a good day for him is like 2 for 3 with a home run. A bad day for him is like
0 for 5
1 for 3 with a walk. No, I don't even feel like he has those really, really bad days. And so it's just like, maybe he does, have those really, really bad ones. But he's just like steady. And he's like, sure, whatever, you bench him. And then he racks up 26. And it's like, just insane. Yeah.
Never have I ever been so upset at somebody else's bench blunder.
Yeah. What Dynasty will do to a motherfucker.
Seriously.
Why don't you tell us about the arms? None of which topped those 26 points, by the way.
No, yeah. All of these arms are going to pale in comparison, or at least the first one, Aaron Ashby, only putting up 11 points on Wednesday for Hideki's team. So Hideki, although Although Hideki didn't have either of the top bat or arm bench blunder, he did have the 3rd arm and bat for bench blunder. So a combined 30 points on the bench for Hideki from these two. You really hate to see that. I don't think it mattered that
was almost 160. So yeah.
So yeah, nothing does not really matter for Hideki here. He was also locked into the playoffs as well, so just fighting for seeding, but he will take that. Taj Bradley putting up 20 on Saturday for Serial. Again, wouldn't have made a difference. That one was about 100, I believe, in terms of difference. So Serial, not really losing too much sleep over it.
Kyle Bradish putting up 25 points on Tuesday for Bose. That one, we want to talk about not mattering. This was the biggest, well, not the biggest blowout, but this was just the biggest Actually, this might have been the biggest blowout.
Was it? I think it was.
155 in points? Yeah, so one of the bigger blowouts.
Oh, second biggest.
Second biggest blowout of the week. But obviously the biggest upset of the week with N10 in that 11th spot, taking down the big bad Bows in the first seed. So now our the best part, and what I was looking forward to the most, saving the best for last, absolutely, are looking ahead at these playoff matchups, and we only have 2 of them because, of course, we have the bye weeks. So the first matchup we have is Big Peach, the 5 seed, taking on Hideki, the 4 seed. When last they met, Hideki, or this was 2 previous matchups, week 6, Hideki did take the win over Peach. However, in week 17, Peach did get some revenge, also taking the win against Hideki. So they are even at 1 apiece. This will be the ultimate tiebreaker for the season matchup. So winner will certainly be taking all in this one. It is win or go home time, ladies and gentlemen. Big Peach, we will start getting into him. Obviously, he has the big news for Yordan Alvarez. He has recently returned to the Astros lineup, and what could be a huge addition for Peach going into these playoffs. If Yordan can really find himself and find what he's been known to do, and that's mash baseballs, Big Peach can be in for a huge ride for him, and it could be reinforcements at the perfect opportunity. Although, you want to talk about big bats, we all obviously know Big Schwarbaum, his biggest bat so far, coming off his hottest game of the year, dropping 4 home runs. Like we also mentioned, he didn't really have a great week in terms of collectiveness, but when you hit 4 home runs in a game, basically you just don't have to strike out at all the entire rest of the week and put up some other hits, and you'll have a pretty good week, all things considered. Taking a look at some of his arms now, DeGrom and Robbie Ray, a couple of veteran pieces, have been his best pitchers. Otherwise, though, and this is going to be the thing that holds him back a little bit, and what was potentially holding him back from even making the playoffs, potentially, and that is his rotation is not the strongest. I'd argue it's probably the weakest of the starting rotations of all the playoff teams. Soriano and Bassett can definitely give you some points, but they are definitely subject to a couple of blow-ups and a couple of 5 earned run plus games. So that is definitely something to be keeping an eye on for him. A couple of key starts for these starting pitchers. He has Bassett coming up against Cincinnati. He will be in Cincinnati on Monday. Robbie Ray going at Colorado on Wednesday, so a couple of rough matchups there. Zebby Matthews taking on the White Sox in Chicago on Wednesday, and DeGrom going against Houston at home in Texas, or in Arlington, right? That's where their stadium's at. Am I tripping?
Yes, Arlington.
Yeah, Arlington. Yeah, sorry. No, I was totally lost there for a second, but yes, DeGrom playing Houston in Arlington on Saturday. So definitely going to be the matchups that we keep our eyes on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Hideki's side of it?
Hideki is who he is going up against, absolutely. We have an elite batter core here. Bobby Witt obviously leading the way, but Ketel Marte, consensus best second baseman, and Manny Machado hasn't been too bad either. All of those guys over 400 points with, I believe, Bobby Witt in the 5s. A really surprised X factor for him this year has been George Springer, who's had a total resurgence after, frankly, a couple pretty crummy seasons up in Toronto. He's been really, really, really good for Hideki. Unfortunately, his pitching just took a little bit of a hit with Edward Cabrera going on the IL, who's been solid, but this is a depth play for Hideki. He doesn't have those super, super top-end guys, but he's got Gosman, he's got Framber, he's got Ranger Suarez, he's got Waka, he's got Ryan Nelson. Those last 3 guys I mentioned are all in the 400s, and Gosman and Framber are both above 500. So really, really good depth there, and, kind of looking to capitalize on that against Big Peach, where that's a little bit of a struggle for him. Some key starts there for Hideki. We do have Framber going up against the Yankees on Tuesday. That'll be an interesting one. Obviously, New York with a pretty potent offense. It is in Houston, which is, of course, of note when it comes to that team. Ranger Suarez going up at Milwaukee on Thursday. Rangers, of course, been so good for Hideki. We know how good Milwaukee is as well. And then a little bit of a bottom feeder matchup here with Waka taking on Minnesota on Saturday. They have been pretty good for opposing starting pitchers so far this season. So those are some key ones to keep an eye out for Hideki.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Walker just really has to stay away from, giving up the long ball in Minnesota, or
big time
not in Minnesota, but against Minnesota. And as long as he can do that, he'll give some solid innings for Hideki.
Yeah, he should be in a good space. Sorry about that. I had to sneeze. But
I was wondering why I cut off.
Yeah,
I saw you mute. I was like, I should probably take over.
Yeah, I just sneezed. But we will move down now to our second matchup, of course, which is Flaming Prius, our 6th seed, going up against Bose, the 3 seed. They met twice, of course, in this season, as we all have done. They first met in week number 8 when Prius took down Bose. But the really exciting matchup between the two of them was in week 19 when Bose beat Prius by just a 1/7 of a point, 0.7 points. Separated the two of them in that matchup. So obviously that was an airtight one at two of those top teams in the league. And I'll start things off by telling us a little bit about Flaming Prius, where the story starts with the rotation. Skubal, Skeens, Hunter Brown, Max Fried, Nick Lodolo, Luis Castillo, and best of all, Martin Perez. Yeah.
Man.
That is obviously the big story here. But when I was putting these sheets together, the lineup's not bad either. He's got Vlad and Trey Turner as obviously the two leading bats there, but some tremendous secondaries in Junior Caminero, who's been unbelievable this year. Zach Neto, who's been rock solid and consistent. Gleyber Torres, great with the Tigers, and then Brent Rooker, who has been a little bit more up and down, but boy, are those highs high when they're when he's hitting in the sack. So, really, really impressive stuff for Flaming Prius here. Another sneaky, really good pitcher has been Ryan Pepio, who has 522 points on the season. Not, again, one of the names that I would say sort of jump out as like, oh boy, he's got that great, got to watch out for Pepio, but he's been incredible. And if Prius wins, this matchup wins the league, it's going to be on this starting rotation. Some key starts, of course, for him. We do have Max Fried in Houston and Nick Lodolo in Toronto. Those are both on Tuesday. Fried's an interesting one where he had obviously a phenomenal start, had a tough stretch for a few weeks there, and he's just kind of coming out of that. So we'll see how things look. Skeens versus the Dodgers on Thursday. Talk about power versus power there. Hunter Brown is playing the Rangers at Texas on Saturday. He's going up against that lineup. They've definitely fallen quite a bit, so should see some solid points from Brown there. And then on Sunday we have a trio of interesting ones here. Skubal versus the White Sox, we might see 60 points. Max Fried versus Toronto, that is a big division game. It'll be interesting to see if he kind of, gets up for it there. And then this is maybe the most interesting one here. Luis Castillo at the Athletics. Obviously a phenomenal pitcher, and it bodes well that he's a ground ball guy, but any pitcher at the Athletics, man, you got to just kind of, red flag it as it might be concerning, but I don't know. That one's fascinating. I can't wait to see how that goes. That's kind of how Prius is lining up this week. What about his opponent?
Yeah, going over to Big Bad Bose, who unfortunately did lose that top-seeded spot this past week, falling himself into needing to play this week at all. He is the top seed at the 3 seed coming into this matchup. And obviously, his headliner, both hitter and pitcher, is of course Shohei Ohtani, and now we see we are now, I think it's safe to say, in the full full in-season form of what Shohei Ohtani brings and why he was the number 1 overall pick, and rightfully so, because the dude can hit 2 home runs in a game and in the very same game throw 10 strikeouts, and it's just that kind of pop-off potential is just so massive. And it's honestly why Bose has been one of the top teams. Never want to say, it's for one player, but Shohei is that guy where it's like, yeah, he is somebody who can easily keep you in playoff contention. And when you have as good of a team as Bose does around Shohei, it's easy to stay in that, 1-2, and unfortunately did fall in the final week, but in those top seeded contentions. Also, headlining some of his other top bats, he does have Luis Arias putting up a solid 500 so far on the season. Naylor, that is Bo Naylor. Josh Naylor, sorry, that is Josh Naylor. Contreras and Buxton all giving him about 400-ish around there so far. So solid core all around. And he does have a potential for some pitchers to pop off. Logan Webb and Joe Ryan kind of lead that rotation. Sonny Gray, David Peterson, Brady Singer kind of rearing out that core of pitchers. A couple of key starts that we'll be looking at for Bose going into this week. Sonny Gray does take on the Athletics. However, it will not be in in Sacktown, and that one will be on Monday night. So if he can provide a solid start there and that is actually today's Monday. If he can provide a solid start for Bose this matchup, a good start to the matchup, it could set the tone early. Webb gonna have his work cut out for him because he will be going against Colorado in Colorado, and if that wasn't bad enough, Clayton Kershaw, who has been, obviously, Unk still got it. He's been putting up some pretty solid pitching performances points-wise, and really games-wise, not allowing the long ball as much, not getting a ton of strikeouts, but giving you a solid 5 innings, getting you those points, and he is, not losing you games, getting a couple of wins here when the Dodgers offense decides to wake up. So I think that could be prove big for him. However, like we mentioned with Webb being in Colorado, Kersh is also pitching in Colorado. So that is going to be pretty brutal. We'll see what happens with that. Shohei is going to be taking on Pittsburgh, however, as well on Wednesday. So we'll see how that pitchup does. I'm not sure when is Skeens pitching?
Skeens.
That's not the matchup, is it?
On Thursday. No. Oh, man, that would be prime time. No.
Oh, my God, man. That would have been insane if that was the matchup. We would all be tuning into that matchup.
They got to push Shohei back. I'm sorry.
They do. No, they do. 100%. They got to push we will hopefully we'll see a pushback start for Shohei. But either way, big matchup for him against that Pittsburgh lineup, who hasn't really been great, so look for him to put up some big points there for Bose on Wednesday. And the final one we'll be looking at is, of course, the other ace we mentioned for Bose in Joe Ryan, right there playing against Kansas City. I believe that one's on Thursday as well, so we will see how these matchups go. Very, very exciting times here in the Lollygaggers League.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for all of these, I sort of put down some notes on little things, and line A under Bose just says Shohei.
Yeah.
Like he can win it. Like he is that kind of player. Definitely have some concerns about Bo's bats, I have to say, as I'm kind of looking through this, and especially going up against some guys like Vlad and Turner on Prius's side, but on the flip side, I was surprised by how good Bo's pitchers are. I mean, Webb, Ryan, Sonny Gray, David Peterson, who has been unbelievable. Those are some really big names. So we have some heavyweight stuff here. Before we get out, let's do some predictions. Ace, who do you see as the winner of Big Peach versus Hideki, who I believe will be going up against JMC next week?
Yeah, this is this one.
Pardon me. They would probably be going up against Mike. I'm so sorry. Mike. Yeah, they would be going up against Mike.
Yeah, it also depends what happens in the other matchup as well.
They're not set to reseed.
Oh, it's not reseeding?
It's not reseeding, yeah.
Okay, never mind. I take that back then. I digress. Going back to who I picked to win this game. I think in the times of playoffs, similar to real life baseball, it's going to come down to the pitching and whose pitchers are going to provide the most solid innings for these players, or for these managers, I should say. And with that being said, just looking at both of their pitching matchups, I am going to have to go with Hideki in this matchup. We have talked about kind of Big Peach's, lack of a really solid core. He does have a couple of solid aces at the moment, but as far as an entire rounded out pitching staff, in these games, you really are going to need about 5 or 6 guys to really give you some solid starts, and I just don't know if Peach can get that consistently. So with that all being said, I know it's not the favorite it's not the sexy pick because I'm going with the favorite in Hideki in terms of seeding, but I will be going with Hideki in this matchup.
Yeah, I have to agree with you here. It does look like, if I had to guess, Hideki is probably taking this one. He's definitely got the advantage in terms of pitchers, and I think a little bit on the bats too. I think the thing to keep an eye out for is Jordan and Schwarber. If those guys have big weeks, I think we could be looking at a much, much closer matchup. I do have to say, I think Peach's pitching matchups favor him a little bit more than Hideki's do. Like, the guy his pitchers are going up against. So that could be something close to keep an eye on. And, it's gonna be close. But I do have Hideki moving forward as well. What about over on Flaming Prius versus Bose? Who do you see making their way out of that one?
Like I just mentioned, it's going to come down to the pitching staffs, and shocker, I'm going to go with the guy who has about 5 or 6 aces on his team right now. I'm going to go with Flaming in this matchup. Skubal, Skeens, Brown, Fried, Lodolo, Martin Perez if he decides to pop off for another great start. I mean, just so much, barring all of those guys just absolutely shitting the bed and just completely going out of character for Prius in this week. I do think Prius, I know he's the 6th seed, so maybe this is a little bit more of a sexier pick because I'm going with the quote-unquote underdog here. He does have his work cut out for him with Shohei, excuse me, and a couple of some other guys that Bose has, but with two of Bose's kind of top pitchers going in Colorado, and just the volatility that exists within that ballpark, I'm going to have to give it to Prius on this one.
Yeah, brain match on my side too. I do see an upset here with Prius. A pitching staff is hard to say no to, man. I think it's worth noting that it has been a few tough weeks for Prius. Although obviously he did win this last week, it's been a little tough for him. So the team is not maybe at top form, and Logan Webb and Joe Ryan are, I think, real X factors here, aside from obviously Shohei, who does Shohei things. The Logan Webb start at Colorado. Obviously it isn't Coors, but he's such a ground ball pitcher. You wonder if that. Obviously, it's not great to pitch at Coors, no matter who you are, but it's not like he's a big fly ball guy who relies on pop outs and stuff. I could see him really taking advantage of that lineup there, and Joe Ryan has just been unbelievable this year. Taking on a team like Kansas City, there's obviously that division heat. He definitely seems like the kind of guy that can get up against a division rival. And Shohei at Pittsburgh on Wednesday. Pittsburgh, surprisingly good offense. I didn't realize how okay they have been for the last month or so until they played the Red Sox this weekend. But I think Shohei will do all right against them.
I'm not too worried about Shohei.
I think he'll do all right there, and of course we have him going as a batter as well. So this one feels, I would say, closer, but I am going to take Prius as my favorite. Of course, we do not know everything. We want to hear what you all have to say. Definitely let us know who you see taking these two matchups, and when we see you next, we will be recapping these and previewing the semifinals matchups and bringing JMC and Mike into the fold. This has been a ton of fun. Can't wait to see how things shake out this week, and we're looking forward to seeing you next time.
Absolutely, and just a quick little reminder as well. After this week of games, the semifinals and the finals, I should say, are of course 2 full weeks of games.
I think just finals are 2 weeks.
Oh, is it just finals?
I could be right. Let me double check right now.
I could have sworn it was 2 weeks, but
8th to 4th. Yeah, so semifinals
So
is just 1 week, but finals is 2 weeks, yes.
I take that back then. So we will be back next week, of course, with our episode recapping another week following that with our second to last episode. And then, of course, we will do, I take that back. Probably will be our third to last. We will do a final, episode recapping, the finals. Of course, that 2-week matchup is going to be insanely fun and exciting to talk about. Also, however, Zang and I were talking a little bit behind the scenes. We were, in the talks of wanting to do sort of a full overall seasonal recap show at some point after that, initial final show. Just kind of looking at, trends, seeing which teams were hot, which teams went cold, which teams kind of came up, things like that. So please let us know as well in the Discord what you'd want to see in that, if there is specifics, if there is kind of, if you have any cool, fun ideas that you'd want us to implement in that show, please leave them all down below. This is obviously, we do this for you guys. We love making these videos. We love, kind of recapping. So if there's anything in particular you want to see, please let us know in the Discord.
Definitely do. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thanks again for listening, everyone. You make this fun for us. So thanks again.
You know what that makes you, Larry? Lollygagger. Lollygagger.